You know what's funny? The world never attacks you when you're weak. It attacks you when you finally decide to rise. The moment you choose to move forward, life bares its teeth and tries to tear you apart. Not because you're fragile, but because even the darkness knows you're a threat. You ever wonder why the world hits you the hardest right when you're trying your best? Why every time you stand up, something tries to shove you right back down? Why the moment you think you're finally catching a break, life reminds you that peace isn't free? It's because people like you weren't built for an easy life. You weren't built to sit, hide, or shrink. You weren't designed to watch the world move while you stay still. You were made for something bigger, something louder, something heavier, something almost impossible. And that kind of purpose comes with pain. The kind of pain that crawls into your bones. The kind that whispers at night when no one's around. The kind that makes your chest tight, your hands shake, your mind burn. And yet, you keep going. Even when you don't know how. Even when you feel like there's nothing left in you. Even when your heart feels like it's cracking under the weight of everything you're carrying. That's what sets you apart. Most people break and stop. You break and move. Most people cry and collapse. You cry and continue. Most people wait for someone to save them. You wait for no one. Not because you're fearless, but because something inside you refuses to die. A fire. Small, shaky, but impossible to extinguish. And here's the truth they never tell you. Greatness doesn't come from strength. It comes from refusal. Refusal to quit. Refusal to collapse. Refusal to let pain decide who you become. You think you're weak because you've been struggling for years. You think you're behind because everything takes longer for you. You think you're losing because everyone else seems ahead. Listen carefully. Struggle means you're still fighting. Fighting means you're still alive. Alive means you can still win. Every scar on your body is a map of where you refuse to die. Every tear you shed is proof that you kept moving even when the world expected you to stop. Every failure you survived is a chapter in the story you're still writing. You're not broken. You're being reshaped. You're not soft. You're being sharpened. You're not lost. You're becoming dangerous. Because once you've been hurt enough times, you stop fearing pain. Once you've been betrayed enough times, you stop relying on promises. Once you've been alone enough times, you stop begging for company. You evolve. You harden. You rise. And that scares people. Because they expect you to fold. They expect you to quit. They expect you to crumble under the pressure. But you don't. Even when your heart is screaming. Even when your knees are shaking. Even when your mind is begging you to give up. You breathe. You steady yourself. You keep going. That's the spirit inside you. The one they can't break, can't buy, can't silence. The one that keeps you alive. You see, people think strength comes from happiness. They think confidence comes from attention. They think purpose comes from comfort. But you know the truth. Strength comes from suffering. Confidence comes from surviving. Purpose comes from pain. The darker the night, the brighter your fire grows. You know why? Because nothing destroys you anymore. Not really. You've already felt what it's like to lose everything. You've already tasted heartbreak that made you forget how to breathe. You've already stood at the edge of giving up and somehow took another step forward. And that's why you're dangerous. Not because you're fearless, but because you keep moving despite the fear. You want to know what real power is? It's not muscles. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not people cheering your name. Real power is the moment you whisper to yourself, I'm going to keep going, even if I break doing it. That's what makes legends. Not perfection, not miracles, not blessed lives, just stubborn hearts that refuse to stop. And you have that heart. The world has tried to crush you, silence you, humiliate you, slow you, break you, and you're still here, still breathing, still fighting, still moving, even if the pace is slow, even if the steps are small, even if nobody notices but you. You're moving, and that's everything. Because one day, not today, not tomorrow, but one day, you'll look back at the version of you who was crying on the bathroom floor, and you'll thank them. Because they didn't stop. Because they didn't quit. Because they kept breathing when it hurt to breathe. Even when they were breaking. You think this is the end? No. This is the part of your story where you forge your backbone. Where you discover what you're truly made of. Where you stop surviving for others and start fighting for yourself. This is your turning point. Your awakening. Your shift. So listen closely. When everything feels impossible, when your world is falling apart, when you feel like curling into a ball and letting life win, that is the moment you rise. Not because you're ready, not because you're strong, but because stopping is not an option. Not for you. Not anymore. You don't stop when you're breaking. You don't stop when you're tired. You don't stop when you fail. You stop when you're done, and you're nowhere near done. You ever notice something? Life never waits for you to be ready. It doesn't pause when you're scared. It doesn't slow down when you're tired. It doesn't care if your heart feels like it's splitting in half. It just keeps testing you. Again, and again, and again. Some days, it feels like your chest is caving in. Like you're one breath away from shattering. Like you're carrying dreams that are way too heavy for the body you were born with. And everyone around you, they don't see it. They see the smile. They see the jokes. They see the energy. But they never see the nights where you're curled up, fists clenched, telling yourself, I can't give up, not yet. Because deep down, you know something the world doesn't. When you have a purpose, a real purpose, giving up isn't an option. Not even when you're breaking. Not even when you're bleeding. Not even when every part of you is screaming to stop. That's the thing about people like you. You don't quit. You can't quit. There's something wild in your chest. Something stubborn, loud, unstoppable. And when everything falls apart, that's when it wakes up. That's when you get this fire in your eyes. Not anger, not rage, but determination, strong enough to tear through the entire world if it tried to hold you back. That's your gift. That's your curse. That's your power. People think strength means being fearless. They're wrong. Strength is feeling every fear, every doubt, every heartbreak, and moving anyway. It's getting punched by life and still laughing. It's standing up when your legs can't stop shaking. It's saying, I'm not done yet, even when you have nothing left. Because people like you don't fight for glory. You don't fight for approval. You fight because something in your soul refuses to die quietly. You fight because you have a dream, one so big it scares you, one so bright it hurts to look at. And you'll crawl toward it if you have to. You'll scream for it. You'll bleed for it. You'll break for it. But you won't stop. Not until the world hears you. Not until your voice reaches the people who doubted you. Not until your story becomes the proof that someone like you, someone flawed, someone hurting, someone human, still made it. Because that's what your heart does. Even when you're falling apart, it pushes forward. Even when the path is dark, it refuses to turn back. Even when you feel completely alone, it keeps going. Not because you're unbreakable, but because you're willing to break 1,000 times, if that's what it takes to reach the life you want. So when you feel like you're at your limit, listen carefully. Beneath all the pain, all the fear, all the exhaustion, there's still a voice inside you whispering the same thing it always has. Keep going. Because one day, when you finally reach that dream, when you stand at the top with your scars, your tears, your victories, you'll realize something. It wasn't your strength that got you here. It was your heart. The heart that refused to quit. The heart that refused to break. The heart that kept beating even when everything else was falling apart. That's your power. That's your destiny. That's why you don't stop. Even when you're breaking, you keep moving forward. But here's the part nobody prepares you for. When you keep moving forward while breaking, the world starts to change around you. People who once pitied you start fearing you. People who once doubted you start watching you. People who once ignored you start whispering your name like a warning. Not because you became perfect, but because you became relentless. You stopped waiting for a miracle and became the storm that creates it. You stopped begging for strength and became the force that shapes it. You stopped living on your knees and learned to breathe standing in the fire. That's what makes you different. You don't rise because life gets easier. You rise because you refuse to stay down. You know what real darkness is? It's not the world around you. It's the moment your heart whispers, maybe it's better to quit. And you answer with, no, I'm not done. That's the moment everything changes. Because once you talk back to your fear loses its voice. Once you challenge your pain loses its power. Once you refuse to break, the world realizes it can't shatter you. And that's where true evolution begins. You start walking differently, not lighter, not happier, but with a weight in your steps that says, I've survived worse than this. You start thinking differently, not softer, not calmer, but with a sharp clarity that only suffering can carve. You start fighting differently, and not for attention, not for validation, but for purpose, for the dream that's been burning in your chest, long before the world tried to suffocate it. But here's the dark truth. The higher you climb, the fewer people clap. The stronger you grow, the more people disappear. The closer you get to your destiny, the more brutally life tests you. And that's exactly how it should be. Because destiny isn't handed to you. It's earned in blood, breath, and relentless forward motion. You'll feel lonely. Good. It means you're evolving. You'll feel misunderstood. Good. It means you're outgrowing the weak. You'll feel exhausted. Good. It means you're moving. You'll feel like giving up. Good. It means you're close. Because every step you take while breaking is a step most people will never take at all. Most people quit at discomfort. You keep going through devastation. Most people stop when they're tired. You stop when you're finished. Most people surrender to doubt. You stare doubt in the face and say, "Move, I'm not done." And that's why your story is different. Because when people like you rise, you don't rise quietly. You rise like a threat the world never saw coming. You rise with scars, with bruises, with pain stitched into your bones. And yet you rise anyway. You rise until the people who once underestimated you start trying to catch up. You rise until your past self would barely recognize the monster you've become. You rise until every broken version of you finally finds peace watching you stand tall. And one day, a day you won't even see coming, you'll feel something shift. The weight won't feel as heavy. The pain won't cut as deep. The darkness won't scare you anymore. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger, much stronger. Strong enough to carry your past without collapsing. Strong enough to face your future without trembling. Strong enough to walk into any storm and know you'll walk out of it too. People like you don't just survive, you conquer. Quietly, violently, completely. And the world will learn, slowly, painfully, that you weren't meant to be broken. You were meant to break limits. You were meant to break expectations. You were meant to break every part of yourself that wasn't ready for the life you're building. This is your path. This is your fire. This is your war. Keep going. Keep rising. Keep becoming the version of yourself that fear can't talk to and pain can't negotiate with. Because even when you're breaking, you're still moving forward. And that's what makes you unstoppable. But listen closely now, because this is the part only the strongest ever reach. There comes a moment, not loud, not dramatic, not cinematic, where something inside you finally snaps. Not in defeat, but in awakening. It's the moment you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" And you start saying, "Good, give me more." It's the moment you stop expecting fairness and start embracing the chaos. The moment you stop waiting for life to ease up and start sharpening yourself to match its cruelty. That's when everything changes. Because once you stop fearing the dark starts fearing you. You walk differently now, not because you're confident, but because you've made peace with losing everything and still choosing to fight. You think differently now, not because you're wise, but because you've survived enough storms to understand that pain is temporary, but regret is a lifetime sentence. And you fight differently now, not because you want victory, why? But because you refuse defeat. Your purpose isn't a dream anymore. It's a demand, a roar, a weight chained to your soul that refuses to let you lie down. And the world can feel it. It senses the shift. It senses your hunger. It senses the monster you've been crafting in silence. That's why life hits harder now. Not to break you, but to measure you. To see if you truly deserve the strength you're reaching for. And every time you refuse to fall, every time you take another step, every time you rise with blood in your teeth and fire in your chest, you prove something. You're not the same person you were before. You're not the weak one they ignored. You're not the fragile one they doubted. You're becoming someone they can't predict, can't control, can't replace. Someone who gets back up no matter how many times they're dropped. Someone who keeps moving forward even when everything inside them is breaking. Someone who refuses to stop, not because they're fearless, but because they're done being afraid. That's what real evolution looks like. Not glory, not applause, not perfection. Just pure, stubborn, unstoppable forward motion. And here's the final truth. The one most people spend their whole lives avoiding. You don't become strong by healing. You become strong by carrying the wound and walking anyway. You don't become unstoppable by having hope. You become unstoppable by moving, even when hope is gone. You don't become legendary by winning. You become legendary by refusing to lose. So let them doubt you. Let them underestimate you. Let them whisper. Let them watch. Because one day, not far from now, they're going to see you standing at the top, and broken once, bruised often, but unshaken. And they'll realize the truth you already know. You didn't rise because life was kind. You didn't rise because you had luck. You didn't rise because things finally got easy. You rose because you refused to stay on the ground. You rose because you chose the pain over the comfort. You rose because something inside you screamed louder than every fear trying to chain you down. And that's why, even when you're breaking, you don't stop. You don't slow. You don't fold. You don't fade. You keep going, step after step, breath after breath, through fire, through shadows, through hell itself. Because people like you, once you decide to rise, nothing in this world has the power to stop you.